Let's head on over to the Western Cape now. eNCA's Ronald Masinda out and about in Cape Town monitoring compliance there. Ronald, good morning once again. Give us some idea of how taxi drivers and passengers have been coping there this morning with these new rules.
Yuveka, good morning once again. We are still in Mitchell's Plain where, of course, earlier on we heard from the Transport MEC saying that the transport industry has really faced some teething problems during the lockdown, and that he hopes now going forward that all parties will try and rectify some of the issues that have been plaguing the taxi industry. We're currently in Mitchell's Plain, a very busy Mitchell's Plain, and many people who are at the malls here nearby are traveling by taxi, and some of them are joining us now for this quick live crossing. Thank you so much. We're going to start off with you, Mrs. October. First of all, you travel by taxi. Are taxi drivers complying with some of the regulations?
No, they're not complying because they don't even have gloves, sanitizers or masks. And people have to sit next to each other. And it is so unhealthy because none of us knows who got the virus. You can easily be contacted with the virus.
Are you raising this issue with the taxi drivers?
Yes. Every time when I board a taxi and I see they don't have their masks, they don't have gloves, sanitizers, I raise it and they ask me why don't I issue it out to the people.
We're going to speak to another resident here in Mitchell's Plain. Ms. September, you mentioned that, Ms. Smith, rather, my apologies, you mentioned earlier on that you are one of the essential workers during this time of the lockdown. You are a nurse by profession. What are some of the challenges you've been faced with?
Okay, number one, the agency that we work for, we don't get transport. So that means we want to keep our people safe, and the taxi drivers don't apply with the rules. Even transport, Golden Arrow, cancel the buses. We don't have buses to go to work. So then we must pay the taxi driver for 2 spaces, which we separate ourselves because the taxi drivers don't obey the rules. And like Mr. Ramaphosa said, if we all work together, we can save lives. But unfortunately, that the Minister of Transport must look at the people of the transport are not at the same level. They are not on the same level because Golden Arrow work like they want to work. They cancel the buses, and our source is the taxis. The taxi serves us well, but the taxis don't comply with the rules because they lack knowledge of the COVID-19. And that is important because we're going to lose our lives. We're going to lose years. A lot of people is going to die because they don't get to work safe. They work with other people. They put other people's lives in danger. That is how it is. And even the health department must look at this. The nursing agencies, if they can provide us with transport, we already sacrificed our lives to stay in 7 nights, coming out 7 nights. Who will leave their family just so? But that is by our profession. We pledge that. So our demand is people, our love is people. And we want to work with the people, but we can't properly because the taxi drivers don't adhere with the rules. But this morning, I salute the police department because by all over in the town centre, they took the taxis off the roads and people were loading off because why? There were too much people in the taxis. And that is what we want. But we don't want police to look at us and reprimand us. We all know what the COVID-19 is, but we still don't adhere and comply with the rules. Unfortunately, the government must look at that.
Very briefly, you mentioned that you're arriving late at work. Does this put a bit of strain in terms of your superiors putting you under pressure to actually make it on time?
Yes, because my people that we must relieve must go home. And that people go home late because we come late. So unfortunately, then we can't even obey the rule because if that people can't go home, then they must wait for us, so they get later at home to their families, and we come late at our workplace. And we're just working with the people to help the people. So they must look at that for us, please.
Well, Yuveka, 2 very disgruntled residents of Mitchell's Plain saying that taxi drivers continue to break the laws. When they were quizzing taxi drivers in one of the journeys that they took, they keep asking taxi drivers, why don't you have masks, why don't you have sanitizers? And the taxi drivers just basically saying that where are we going to get them? So this is an issue on the ground here in Mitchell's Plain. Mitchell's Plain, of course, a cause for concern for many residents given that 5 people are infected with the coronavirus during the last update, and people here are really on the ground, are really up in arms. They want an improvement.
Yeah, it is definitely very tough for those travellers, for those passengers, and I think the Transport Minister having opened a bit of a can of worms here, because they are the ones who get caught in the middle, and you would expect that, you know, employers as well would be a little more understanding. Thanks so much, Ronald Masinda. We'll catch up with you throughout the day. Ms. Partner, it's a tough place for these commuters, and you would expect somebody will give at some point, and employers should be a bit more understanding as well.